Hi, my name's Dunoon, and this is a story that I haven't really told before. I started my journey as a young mum and a teacher living in Queensland, which is the northern part of Australia. My oldest son was about to start school. He was 6 years of age, and we were really excited. It was a big milestone for our family. But after 2 or 3 months, we discovered that he wasn't really learning the way we would like. He was really struggling with his reading and his sight words, and a few trips into the classroom really showed me that things weren't progressing as they should. So I found this really difficult because obviously it's hard to be objective about your own children, but I was also a teacher. So after speaking to lots of other parents, I discovered there was many others who were feeling the same way. There didn't really seem to be any support structures in our school. There wasn't really much learning support, and there really didn't seem much knowledge amongst the teachers as to what they could do to help. So of course that started me on a journey to find out ways that I could help my son. And of course I was on the internet to all hours, and then an idea came to me as more and more parents kept asking me what they could do to help their children, and that idea was to perhaps put it all down in a book. So I put a survey on the internet, and that survey basically said, if you have a child with a learning difficulty and you need some help in a specific area, ask me and I'll make sure that I include it in my book. And as a reward, I'm going to send you a free copy of the book once it's in print. And if I ever had any thoughts of not writing my book, I can tell you without a doubt, when those emails came in, and some of them were so devastating that they made me cry, I basically had to keep writing, and keep writing I did. Now, I wasn't necessarily an expert on this topic, so I also needed the help of others. So I looked on the internet and found those people around the world who are studying dyslexia and learning difficulties and really kicking goals in terms of making a big difference for children and adults and with their studies and what they discovered. And I contacted those people and asked for their help. I said to them, if I take your studies and your results and I weave them into the chapters of my book, will you help me by editing at the end to make sure that everybody can understand it? And they all said yes. So that was pretty exciting. So the book was written. And then I thought, you know what? I need someone really special to write my foreword. And I didn't know any better. So I wrote this amazing list of all these incredibly famous people, and Richard Branson was at the top. Of course, he's come out in many ways just of recent times, talking about his experiences with dyslexia and how it helps him to do well. So he's a great role model. And after 12 months of working really hard, I finally secured his endorsement. Now, Richard Branson doesn't endorse dyslexia products. It's just not what he does. I think because I'm a parent and I was trying to make such a difference, he endorsed my book. So I was pretty excited. In fact, when I found out, I cried, and then I had to explain to my children why I was crying and that I was actually happy. And then I was also presenting at seminars. But you know what? Something else came up. The more I presented, the more this same thing came up. And that thing was, okay, you've started us on a journey, Liz, with your book, but now we need to know how to teach our children to read and spell, because this is something that all struggle with. And I kept hearing this over and over again. And I kind of said, well, there's this program and there's that program. They're all pretty good. And I sort of let it go because, yes, I'm a teacher, but it wasn't really the journey that I was on at that time. Then finally, I presented at a seminar, which I'm pretty sure was in Melbourne, because by that time we'd moved back to Melbourne. And I met a man by the name of Darren Stevens who had left school early, had struggled the whole time, was now a multi-millionaire and had a son who was struggling as well. And he said to me, I think you should write a program, create a program, and I think you should be the teacher. 3 years later, I am talking massively intensive research, looking at programs like Spalding, Toe by Toe, Orton Gillingham, Multi-Lit. I looked at all the programs that had been created in paper format. I looked at structures of the English language, words, studies, spelling, punctuation and grammar. I just studied. I tell you, I knew more than most of the people at Teachers College who taught me about English. And I'm a bit of a sponge when it comes to the English language. Then I thought, well, I now know all this information. I need to ask people what they want. You'll notice I say want because you can give people what they need, but unless they enjoy it and like it, it doesn't matter. You have to give them what they want. So I asked them, hundreds of parents, thousands of teachers, psychologists, teachers, educators, everybody, just asked everybody. And they all said, fast, effective, 10 minutes or less. They also said to me, it needs to be really simple. It needs to build. There needs to be practice. There needs to be singing. There needs to be inspiration. Because what else came out with all my study was that a shutdown learner, a child who's been studying for so long how to learn English and read, write and spell, but is continually struggling, gives up. We had to take those children and make them feel like they could do it again. So we had to incorporate that into our literacy program as well. So it ended up having phonics, words and spelling, punctuation and grammar, lots of reading practice with lots of songs, life skills, and also inspirational interviews. So inspirational interviews were where I interviewed people like entrepreneurs, millionaires, world-class athletes, designers, students, academics, all people who've struggled at school but went on to amazing success. And they then can show others how it's done, particularly children who really need a boost. So where to now? Well, in this business, you can't stop because once you start, you're just on this amazing journey where you're helping people and you don't want to stop. So I created Dyslexia Daily. I built this amazing team around me. My beautiful husband helped me with the technology side. I was the English, he's the maths and the technology. I had a technical team from around the world who was also helping me. And they're amazing. And now we help lots of people. So we're changing the world one child at a time. You know, I got a great story from a mum just recently. Her daughter had completed the 10-minute tutor. She'd started getting A's on her school report. She'd stood up in front of her entire school and given a speech to get into the student council. She'd managed to do that, and her mum said her life had been changed, and that's what keeps me going. So the key to your success is having the resources that you need in order to help your child avoid some of the frustrations and pitfalls. You know, I had such a confusing, frustrating, anxiety-causing, teary time when all this happened 11 years ago, and I want to make sure that that doesn't happen for you. So Dyslexia Daily is for you. It's going to give you the resources to understand, support, encourage the people around you, whether that's family members or the people that you work with or perhaps the people that you teach. And of course, at the end of the day, the whole idea is to ensure that you and your family and all the people you work with have a happy and successful future. Bye for now.